really didn't have a problem. As soon as I showed police my media credentials, they let us on through. But of course, that wasn't the case for everyone. We are here in Ohio City, pretty much right when you come in from downtown Cleveland. We're on West 25th and Detroit. Take a look. We are here in Bay Village, where hundreds of people are marching now to protest the death of George Floyd. Take a look at the crowd behind me. They've been marching down Lake Avenue for some time now. A battle is shaping up over financial relief for state and local governments devastated by the pandemic. When these West Side Auto Shop employees got into work, they couldn't believe their eyes. They found dozens of their cars like this one with the windows busted out. It's a huge weight off so many people's shoulders. And I am joined right now by Asia Jones. She is the Community Outreach Director with Black Lives Matter Cleveland. Asia, an emotional roller coaster today. How are you feeling? The mayor of Parma tells me when they switched service providers, they had to put the trash cans somewhere. This is what people in Parma are so upset about. For less than 24 hours, and already there's been a murder in Cleveland. Next at 11, a city councilman fed up with the violent trend. Now, the Stone mayor also sent us a statement. He said racism has no place in his city. Now, I also just wanted to mention that Rhodes lived in that apartment complex where the incident happened, but we've learned he has since moved out. For now, reporting live in Stowe, Kelly Kennedy, 19 News. Right, this all stems from a trip over spring break to Disney World. The Parma superintendent tells me they didn't cancel the trip because he felt like the students had earned it because they had done such a good job following all the safety protocols. But as it turns out, a lot of those safety protocols, like wearing masks, were not followed on the bus ride home from that trip. 89 Normandy High School students are currently quarantined, and 14 students have tested positive for COVID-19 since April 12th. That's the same day students came back from a school-sponsored trip to Disney World.
Most of the trip went very well. On the way home, there were some breakdowns in procedures in one of our buses. And at that point, we did have 4 students of the 14 that have contracted. We had 4 that can be directly traced to that Disney trip. We got lax in terms of assigned seats and masks, in all honesty.
Were the students who went on the trip to Disney quarantined before going back to school in person?
They were not quarantined. At that time, we were still, under the impression that things had gone well. They came back in very short proximity to when, we came back to school. So we've gone ahead and we did allow them to come back into school, not knowing that, we even had the 4 at that point. And so that's something that, we didn't have all of the information, obviously, at the time that we let them back in.
Some parents reached out to 19 News who now have sick kids, saying the district should have canceled the trip and given them a full refund. Parma City School Superintendent Charles Smilek says parents did receive a partial refund, but some of the money had already been spent on various expenses.
In terms of canceling, it's very easy to sit here 2 weeks after the fact and say we shouldn't have went. But again, you compare a band trip to what we did in football season and soccer season and basketball season, and the level of risk is really the same.
What are you doing to ensure you don't have a breach in COVID protocols in the future so something like this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to put in place, some written contracts and some signed documents in terms of what the chaperones and sponsors understand.
The superintendent tells me since this outbreak started, they've started stationing school administrators outside all of the school entrances in the morning to check students' symptoms and, of course, their temperatures. Reporting live in Parma, Kelly Kennedy, 19 News. This is where Uber and Lyft drivers wait to pick up people from the airport. As you can see, there's a lot of empty spots. That's because less people are driving. They tell me they're afraid they could be the next victim of a carjacking.
No, it is getting pretty dangerous out here, though.
In the past 3 months, at least 6 Uber or Lyft drivers have been carjacked at gunpoint in the Cleveland area. Some of them also violently assaulted.
It makes me not want to drive because, I've got 4 kids and I was in the military, and so, I made it back from Iraq. It would suck if I was hijacked or killed or something like that doing this.
The most recent victim in a series of carjackings was a 43-year-old Lyft driver. At around midnight Tuesday, the driver picked up a teenage boy. Once he got to the intersection of East 102nd Street and Kingsbury Boulevard, the rider asked him to stop. That's when a second team came up to his door and pointed a gun at him, forcing him to get out of his car. The 2 suspects took off in the car.
Yeah, I've heard of a few women that have been hurt. A guy in Lakewood was hurt. It's made me want to think about carrying. You're not allowed to carry if you're a Uber or Lyft driver. So it's getting to the point now to where I'm really thinking about not doing this.
Cleveland police spotted the stolen car and tried to pull the teens over at 93rd and Pratt. That turned into a chase throughout the 4th District. Eventually, the teens jumped out of the vehicle and ran off. Police haven't found them, but they did find a gun inside the stolen car. Rideshare driver Aaron Reedy says if you've been having trouble getting an Uber or Lyft recently, it's because people are too afraid to drive.
I did pick up one other person this evening, and they waited 47 minutes just to get a driver. And whenever it's red like this, it means that it's high demand, and people are just waiting and waiting for drivers to get here.
Reedy has been considering buying a camera for his car with a panic button.
It was like $250, and it's going to come out of my pockets. They bought us partitions for the going behind the seats to help with the COVID thing. I think that this is something that's serious enough as well that they should, at least offer a discount.
I reached out to Lyft for a statement, but so far, I haven't heard back. Reporting in Cleveland, Kelly Kennedy, 19 News.
I really thought my life would end that day on August 13th. And at that moment in time, when the officer drew his weapon.
Keep your hands where I can see him, okay?
Racially motivated 911 calls. Tonight, a new law in the works to prevent them. All of this after a 19 News investigation helped expose what appears to be a growing problem. Tiffany.
Well, we found several cases, local black men minding their own business, getting the cops called on them. Our Kelly Kennedy brought the issue up with lawmakers, and now we have results. A proposed law designed to hold those callers accountable.
I first told you Darren Cooper's story last summer, and while the Hudson fathers certainly never expected a law to be named after him, what happened to him last year that led to it did not really surprise him.
Before my incident, nothing like this had ever happened to me directly, but I would see people of color having situations with the so-called caring calls, being put in situations where their life was in danger or they lost their lives.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
August 13th, 2020. That day still plays on repeat in Cooper's head.
As I look at that situation, that's when it really becomes very emotional because it feels like it's like a movie, but I was not the main actor participant in that movie. That particular day, I really thought I was going to lose my life. When I'm sitting there minding my own business, again, drinking tea, eating a Danish, talking on the speakerphone with my wife, and hearing the police officers yell out, "Hands up."
Cooper was sitting in his car getting ready to go into a work training event when he was suddenly surrounded by police with their weapons drawn. Cooper believes he was the victim of a racially motivated 911 call.
There is a person sitting adjacent to me in a black Mustang. It looks as he has a pistol. He was holding it up. He is moving around in his seat, erratical. He lowered the gun, but yes, I really believe he's sitting there with a pistol.
All Cooper had was his iPhone. Fast forward 6 months later, and a bill is about to be introduced in the Ohio General Assembly, and it's called Darren's Law.
I feel great about the opportunity. It's an honor. I'm very pleased to be here in more ways than one.
After reporting Cooper's story, I learned about another similar incident in Solon a few weeks later. Philip Evans was loading groceries into his car when a white woman called 911 accusing him of driving a stolen car. So I reached out to Representatives Thomas West and Casey Weinstein.
Thank you for all the work that you've done on this to, again, bring it to light.
Representatives West and Weinstein have been working on this legislation for months. Coming up later tonight, I'll tell you more about the specifics of this proposed law and how exactly it will help victims of racially motivated 911 calls. Kelly Kennedy, 19 News. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Kelly Kennedy, filling in for CN New Yorker. We begin with tragic news overnight. One person is dead and 5 others are hurt after they were shot while attending a vigil. This happened Saturday night in Columbus. People were gathering in the parking lot of a Dollar General to remember the life of a homicide victim. The shooting sent people inside the store running for cover. We do not know the condition of the people who were hurt. In Minnesota, protests over the police shooting of Dante Wright entered their 7th night Saturday. The town of Brooklyn Center was under a curfew beginning at 11 p.m. That curfew just lifted at 6 o'clock this morning. At least 100 people were arrested at protests there Friday night. And here in Ohio, people rallied in Shaker Heights Saturday to protest the recent shootings of Dante Wright and 13-year-old Adam Toledo in Chicago. Both people were killed by police officers. Local leaders are raising new questions about the recent shootings of black men at the hands of police. This comes after 2 men were shot by law enforcement in Cleveland less than 24 hours apart. Jim Nelson spoke to leaders about the demand for action. About 37% of people in Ohio have gotten at least 1 dose of a coronavirus vaccine, and that number keeps going up. I just got my 2nd dose last week. Now, this is thanks in part to vaccination clinics like this one. It was hosted yesterday by Summa Health in Akron. Summa Health's chief medical officer says while more people are getting the shot, demand for the vaccine is going down. John, I feel like this time of year in Cleveland, I never know how to dress. Tell me we're going to see some warmer weather this week.
Well, yes, we are tomorrow. But after that, we go a little bit downhill. You know what April showers bring?
Mayflowers. We now know more about the man who gunned down 8 people at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis. Investigators say the suspect is a former employee there who previously had a gun taken away from him for mental health reasons. Nikki Batiste has more. A warning involving some workout gear this morning. Government officials say those who use Peloton's Tread Plus should stop using that machine immediately if you have small children or pets. Britain is saying a final farewell to Prince Philip this weekend. The 99-year-old was laid to rest Saturday at Windsor Castle. CBS's Ian Lee is there. Country music's biggest stars are aligning for Sunday's 56th Academy of Country Music Awards right here on CBS 19. The show takes the stage in Nashville and will include dozens of live performances and one-of-a-kind collaborations. Chris Martinez has a preview. Okay, this is exciting news. Outdoor music concerts are coming back to Blossom, and we're giving you a chance to go for free. Country music star Thomas Rhett will be the first performer. He's at Blossom on June 12th. You can go to cleveland19.com right now for your chance to win those tickets. Click on the contest tab. As life begins to slowly return to normal, the restaurant industry is seeing an interesting trend. Customers are returning, but many workers are not. 19's Vic Gideon has the story. Snow in April just doesn't sound okay to me. Switching gears, in the nation's capital, demonstrators vandalized a statue of Christopher Columbus. They spray-painted words like murderer along with vulgar words and slogans. Statues of Columbus have been targeted across the country for the explorer's history of abuse towards Native people. Back here in Ohio, 19 News is digging into the stories of people who have experienced racism and hatred. This week, we're taking a look at the Asian community. Our Saida Abbas spoke with 2 local women opening up about the painful encounters with discrimination.